Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. Apple unveils the new iPhone 15. The latest model features improved camera zoom and makes the switch to a USB-C charging port. Google is going to court. U.S. federal regulators sue the company to determine if its search engine has an illegal monopoly. More crimes strikes Southern California in broad daylight. We'll take a look at some of the cases that circulated on social media. Apple was the talk of the town today. The tech giant held its annual product event to kick off the sprint to the holiday season. And the iPhone 15 was a front and center.
Apple's new iPhone 15, unveiled Tuesday, comes with new features, a new look, and updates to the display, the camera, and more. The new phone ditches the Lightning connection in favor of a charging cable that's compatible with non-Apple products, in accordance with a European law.
In Europe, they forced the standard of USB-C. So Apple was going to have to do that for at least the European. But the decision, of course, was, well, if you're going to do it for Europe, you do it for the rest of the world, in which most of the world has already shifted over to USB-C. So this was just a natural progression.
The 6.1-inch iPhone 15 starts at $799. The 6.7-inch iPhone 15 Plus starts at $899. The new phone comes in pink, yellow, green, blue, and black. But Apple added enough new bells and whistles to the top-of-the-line model, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, to boost its price from last year's version to $1,200. The iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max will be equipped with what Apple claims to be the equivalent of 7 camera lenses. They will include a periscope-style telephoto lens that will improve the quality of photos taken from far distances. Apple also showed off a new Series 9 watch with a feature called Double Tap, where users tap their thumb and finger together twice without touching the watch in order to perform tasks like answering a phone call. The Apple Watch Ultra 2 has new features for cycling and diving. The Series 9 will start at $399, and the Ultra 2 watch will start at $799. All the new models will be available in stores September 22nd, with pre-orders beginning this Friday.
Silicon Valley, California is the global hub for generative artificial intelligence, or Gen AI for short. But what does Gen AI mean, and why did Governor Newsom issue an executive order to direct resources to study the use and risks of Gen AI? I spoke with award-winning author and San Jose State University professor Ahmet Benefa to hear more. Good to have you on the show, Professor Benefa. So people are already familiar with artificial intelligence, or AI. But what is generative AI and what is it capable of?
That's a very good question. AI in general, artificial intelligence, is actually 3 stages. The first one, which is the narrow AI, we already passed that stage, which is the Siri, Alexa, where the human is smarter than the machine. The general AI, where the human and the machine, they have a similar level of intelligence, which is what we are in today. And that is where the generative AI comes into play. The term generative AI is taking data, taking information, processing information, and then creating something completely new, not just summarizing or just copying what in the data. Now that for the general AI, which is the second stage. The third stage, which is the super AI, which is still in the future, this is when the machine will be smarter than the human. That's where the danger is, when they start making their own decisions, and sometimes they look at the human as an obstacle.
Now, when it comes to AI, people are either frozen by fear or hypnotized by the upside. Should people be fearful about AI?
I understand the fears, because the reason for this is that it could take jobs, and a lot of jobs are going to be lost because of that. But at the same time, it's going to open the door for new jobs. And this is the story of any technology. When the internet came to the picture, a lot of people lost their job, but the internet opened new opportunities for people. The fear is when we rely too much on the AI to make decisions that has to impact our life.
Do you think the government should step in to regulate this whole AI industry? If so, is right now a good time before things get out of control?
we need to regulate the AI. We need to make sure that there is a responsibility from different perspectives. For example, the content itself. If there is any copyright for people to take in that content? Who's responsible for sharing bad information? If you ask the ChatGPT about giving you, some kind of information that it is illegal. All of these kind of things that you need some regulation. And I did write a letter to the White House, and I got a reply from the president about that letter, specifically about this point, telling the White House, we need to have a regulation. We need to do it in conjunction with the companies. At the same time, don't leave it for the private sector to regulate themselves, because they don't have good track, in doing that. We've seen it with the social media. So yes, we need regulation, but we have to work in partnership with the private sector.
There seems to be a tacit race on AI technology among the U.S., China, and other countries. How's the U.S. doing right now?
So far, so good for us, because it started here, and we are really, expanding. I see this one in my school in San Jose State, where the interest on AI is really high. California has 35 companies with the top 50 AI companies in the world. California has about 25% of the AI patents in the world, and the papers and research is here in California. The companies like Netflix, they are offering jobs that will, with a salary of $900,000 for an AI, expert. So as we speak, this wave of AI is different from other waves before, because AI, if anybody studied the history of AI, they will know that AI went something called winter AI, which goes up and down. What we are seeing here is a little bit different, because it's not just a standalone technology. It's actually attaching itself to everything we're doing.
All right, Professor Benefa of San Jose State University, thank you so much.
Thank you.
U.S. federal regulators going after Google to decide whether its search engine has an illegal monopoly. The company holds a 90% share in the search engine market. NTD's Eileen Ang has the details.
Google is going to court. U.S. federal regulators are set to launch an attempt to dismantle its internet empire in the biggest U.S. antitrust trial in a quarter century. Over the next 10 weeks, federal lawyers and state attorneys general will try to prove Google rigged the market in its favor by locking its search engine in as the default choice in a plethora of places and devices. The Justice Department filed its antitrust lawsuit against Google nearly 3 years ago, claiming the company has used its internet search dominance to gain an unfair advantage against competitors. Government lawyers allege that Google protects its franchise by shelling out billions of dollars annually to be the default search engine on the iPhone and on web browsers such as Apple's Safari and Mozilla's Firefox. Google counters that it faces a wide range of competition despite commanding about 90% of the internet search market. Top executives at Google and its parent Alphabet, as well as those from other powerful technology companies, are expected to testify. Regulators also charged that Google has illegally rigged the market in its favor by requiring its search engine to be bundled with its Android software for smartphones if the device manufacturers want full access to the Android App Store. The judge won't issue a ruling until early next year.
Southern California is experiencing a troubling trend of brazen retail thefts, many of which are boldly taking place during the daytime. NTD's Christina Corona has more on the crimes.
Surveillance footage shows thieves breaking into the back door of Irwindale Cycles, a family-owned bicycle shop in Irwindale. The incident unfolded in the early hours on August 28th. The masked suspects are seen taking bicycles off of the rack and rolling them through the back door. Norma Kalindras, the owner of the shop, tells us the thieves got away with $40,000 worth of bikes and inventory, taking the most expensive bikes in the store. She tells us she may now have to close her business due to the loss. The Irwindale Police Department released a photo of 2 suspects on the Gold Line Metro Rail with 4 bikes just hours after the incident. In Northridge, footage posted on the Citizens app shows a group of thieves in hooded sweatshirts grabbing boxes of cologne and perfume and throwing them into large trash bags at a Macy's at Northridge Fashion Center Sunday. The LAPD estimates $20,000 worth of fragrances was stolen, and at least 10 suspects were involved in the robbery. In Orange County, recently released footage shows a couple grabbing baby formula from the shelves at a Target store in Costa Mesa on March 3rd. A child is seen in the cart while they are shoving the food into a large tote bag. They are seen being stopped by an employee but continue exiting the store. On April 2nd, the couple can again be seen stealing baby formula at a Target store in Irvine, shoving the canned food into bags. Analu Gonzalez, 25, and Alexis de Jesus Garcia, 22, were arrested on Thursday for grand theft and organized retail theft, stealing a total of $17,000 worth of goods. A video posted by Tansu Yegan shows a woman putting items into her bag at a drugstore, smiling at the camera, knowing in California $950 is legally permitted to steal without a chase. Christina Corona, NTD News, California.
We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come right back. A Bay Area county has $48 million in fund to help fight fentanyl. One county leader pushing for more Narcan and a mobile response unit. A former Hollywood singer sounds the alarm on child exploitation. She says her time in Los Angeles opened her eyes to the child trafficking and abuse taking place in the music industry. Fast food workers are getting a minimum wage increase. This new agreement ends a nearly year-long dispute between labor unions and the industry. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, David Zhang. Fire crews are battling a massive structure fire in downtown Los Angeles. The fire already caused a part of the building's roof to collapse. The blaze broke out just after 1 p.m. at a building on the 300 block of East 4th Street. Footage from the Citizen app shows smoke billowing out of the windows while crews fought the fire from outside and above. According to the LA Fire Department, the building is approximately 3 stories with a basement. Portions of the roof near the back of the building had apparently collapsed. According to reports, the fire apparently began in the basement of the building, and there were no people in the building. No injuries have been reported. No other information was immediately available. Santa Clara County is expecting funds of $48 million from a nationwide opioid settlement. Supervisor Cindy Chavez pushes for initiatives such as Narcan supply and a mobile unit. NTD's David Lamb reports.
County supervisors in Silicon Valley will decide on how to spend a portion of $48 million that came from a settlement regarding fentanyl.
Santa Clara County Supervisor Cindy Chavez wants to focus on Narcan distribution and informational campaigning to spread awareness.
We're going to spend over the next year close to $3 million just getting us moving into these into a series of investments.
According to Chavez's office, fentanyl-related deaths of youths and young adults in 2023 is expected to pass 2022's number, and with San Jose categorized by law enforcement as a fentanyl hub.
The ability to have a mobile unit that will be able to go out into the community and make naloxone and test strips and education available to the community.
In 2022 alone, there were 161 fentanyl deaths in the county, 15 times more than 2018, according to the county. Chavez established the county's fentanyl working group with the district attorney 2 years ago after a 12-year-old died of fentanyl poisoning.
So one action that we took on Thursday was we asked VTA to take a look at making Narcan available on buses, light rail, and in transit centers.
In 2021, nearly 70% of drug overdoses in the United States were from fentanyl. The addictive opioid can be used by drug dealers mixed in with other drugs, making it look real but actually fake. So far this year, there have been 98 fentanyl deaths in the county. In San Jose, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
A puppy receives a dose of Narcan. In Southern California, police responded to the puppy in distress after they found it likely overdosed from fentanyl.
Irvine police gave a pit bull puppy Narcan after it showed signs it was overdosed with fentanyl. Officials believed it got into its owner's fentanyl stash in the car. An officer quickly transported the dog to an emergency veterinarian for treatment. The dog's owners, a man and a woman, were arrested outside a Walmart and could face charges including drug possession and animal cruelty. The dog is recovering, and the Animal Services Unit will take possession of it.
An ex-Hollywood singer put morals over fame. She said she saw child grooming in the music industry. She now runs a nonprofit exposing child trafficking and abuse. NTD's David Lamb speaks with Landon Starbuck.
Landon Starbuck lives in Tennessee, currently running Freedom Forever, a nonprofit exposing the world of child exploitation and saving children.
Rescuing children alone doesn't solve the problem of child exploitation, child sexual abuse. So I wanted to get to the root of that, which is education and prevention-based activism, and that is the mission of Freedom Forever.
Somewhere it's safe just to be me.
Starbuck also creates music, such as her single Hope, to shed light on child trafficking. But before that, she pursued a music career in Hollywood at age 18.
I was also a singer-songwriter who charted on Billboard, and that experience made me realize there was a very deep problem that was not being talked about.
She shared that her time in the music industry opened her eyes to the sexual quid pro quo culture that is Hollywood, of what was expected, the favors, the denigration needed to become a star. The singer recalls one experience.
When I arrived at this video shoot, there was a clothing rack, but there was lingerie, underwear hanging. And I said, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable. I didn't know that was what the deal was. I'm not wearing that. And they said, well, that's all right. We'll find somebody who will.
She said the next day she was dropped.
So wait a minute, it's not that I'm not good enough. It's, that I'm not willing to take off my clothes. I'm not willing to sexualize myself. I'm not willing to hop on a private plane to Vegas over the weekend to party with label execs. And I would have some of these females who are big stars today tell me, Landon, you don't have to sleep with them. Just come and party, come and hang. It's just part of our job. This is what we have to do.
Starbuck said she didn't understand, and in some cases, underage girls would be hanging out with adults.
I realized that, all of these areas, I was just not going to be able to compromise my values to make it. That's really what it came down to.
So you left this industry because you saw things that were against your morals. Is it worth it now, today?
I'm so grateful for the experiences I've had, as bad as they were, and even the depression that I went through, reconciling the fact that I wasn't going to make it on those terms, but I was going to make it on God's terms. And so now I'm using my voice in a much more powerful way, in a much more meaningful way.
Give me a reason to hope.
Child grooming and trafficking is not just a concern of the entertainment industry. On the state level, Senate Bill 14 passed the Assembly 79-0 on Monday and is one step closer to the governor's desk. It would make child sex trafficking in California a serious felony and increase penalties. In Santa Clara, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
California's fast food workers will get a $20 minimum wage next year. This new agreement ends a nearly year-long standoff between labor unions and the fast food industry.
Starting April 1st next year, most fast food workers in California would get a $20 minimum wage. This is a nearly $5 raise per hour. The current minimum wage for all industries in California is $15.50 per hour, and the newly established Fast Food Council, under Assembly Bill 257 signed last year, would have the power to raise the minimum wage each year through 2029. The deal between labor unions and the industry was announced on Monday. The mandatory raise would apply to all fast food restaurants in California that are part of a chain with at least 60 locations nationwide. Lawmakers have also restored funding for the Industrial Welfare Commission, a state agency that has the power to set wages and workplace standards. In exchange for the $20 minimum wage, labor unions have withdrawn their sponsorship of a bill to make fast food companies liable for their franchise operators' labor violations.
Now let's check in with NTD's Tyler Castillo for our sports roundup.
Thanks, David. I'm Tyler Castillo, taking you through California Today's Sports Roundup.
The San Francisco 49ers played their first regular season game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before the matchup, the 49ers were focused on negotiating a new contract for Nick Bosa, the league's sack leader last season. Now, Bosa did get signed. He got signed to a 5-year, $170 million contract where each year he gets around $34 million annually. Nick Bosa is now the highest paid defensive player in the league. Now, during the actual 49ers versus Steelers game, Brandon Ayuk scored not one, but 2 touchdowns in the first half, with Christian McCaffrey scoring 1 in the second half. 49ers 30, Steelers 7. Now to a SoCal team, the LA Rams played against the Seattle Seahawks for the first win of the new season. Every touchdown that was scored for the Rams was scored by a running back, with 2 of those touchdowns being scored by Kyren Williams and 1 of those scored by Cam Akers. Brett Maher scored 12 points from 3 out of 5 kicks. Rams 30, Seahawks 13.
I'm Tyler Castillo, and that was today's Sports Roundup. Back to you, David.
Thanks, Tyler. That's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You will also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with your friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Ganjin World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.